We are so excited to break down the SMU and Penn State game. What are you feeling going into this game? This will be just the second time in history that these teams have met over 45 years ago. So, how are we feeling about this game?
You know, I think it's very lopsided in a way. This is SMU's first year in the ACC. They did make it to the championship. They did lose to Clemson, but I just don't think they've been tested in the same way that the SEC and the Big Ten has been tested this year. Penn State's only losses came to Ohio State and to Oregon. Oregon, I was shocked with how many points they put up on the board against Oregon. If Drew Aller can play as well as he did against Oregon in this game, I don't think SMU is going to be able to keep up at the end of the day. And I think SMU, not desperately, but I think this would be a big statement for them
Yeah.
to win this game because they were the controversial pick. It was between Alabama and SMU, strength of schedule versus record. And they went with record, and there were people who loved that, and there were people who didn't love it. And there's still questions about it to this day. There will be changes moving forward based on that decision overall. And I think if they win this game, they're gonna be like, we did deserve that pick. We did deserve that bid to get into this playoff. And I think that would be an amazing statement to make. And I think if they lose, the SEC will go ballistic, ESPN will go ballistic, college football fans, not all of them, will go ballistic because they'll be like, why didn't you put Alabama in? Alabama, Penn State would have been a better matchup. So I think if SMU can pull off this win, I think that would be huge, not only for SMU, but also the ACC to be like, we are a strong conference. We do deserve to be here. And they could pull it off. They do have a good team. I just can't unsee the first half of that game against Clemson. I really can't.
Yeah, yeah, that was a wild one for sure. But Jennings answered right back, and
Yeah.
this obviously this SMU offense isn't as feared as Oregon's, but they do average more points, and the Mustangs are sixth in the country in scoring offense, 38.5 points. And Penn State still has one of the most talented defenses in the country, but they dropped in the national rankings after giving up 45 points and 469 yards to Oregon. But I think for Penn State and this head coach, James Franklin, I mean, this is a must win. He's 6-6 in bowl games and 4-5 at Penn State. So I feel like this is a very pressured game for him. This is a must win. SMU hasn't won a bowl since 2012 over Fresno State. So overall, this is a big game, obviously, for both teams. But for the coaches as well, I mean, like you were saying, like this would be a statement for SMU, but I also think it would be a statement for Penn State. I mean, this is their first time in the college football playoff, and there's just a lot on the line. But I think, the strength of this SMU offense is their tempo of how they run their offense. And, if they could line up and blast away on the front, and they get ahead quick, I mean, this could be a really interesting game. This could really be an interesting game.
And SMU does have tools to win. They would have to really establish the run with Smith. He would set up Jennings in the passing game if they can open up that run game. Protect your QB. He must stay upright. Penn State has a very aggressive front. So you have to keep your QB up so he can make these plays for you and really creating turnovers, disrupt Penn State's rhythm, seize the moment. If they can do that, then I think they can make this game very competitive. And then for Penn State, really just exploit the matchups, use Tyler Warren's versatility to challenge SMU's defense, pressure Jennings, leverage their elite pass rush to force mistakes. I think there is a talent gap here a little bit. I do think Penn State, again, on paper, is the better team. SMU does have tools to win. You can win any given Saturday, and we've seen it all year long that any team can show up on any day, which is true, but it's been even truer this year with NIL and transfer portal and all of that stuff. It's kind of balanced everything out. You don't have this incredibly dominant team that's going to win week after week after week. I guess you could say Oregon, but again, strength schedule for me is a little but like you said, this would be a big statement for Penn State.
Yeah.
because they could win in a playoff situation, whereas they were getting beat out by Ohio State and Michigan every year, and now Oregon even. So this could be a big moment for them. And then they would go on to play Boise State, which I'm sitting here like, I think that's an easy win right there too. So this could be huge for Penn State getting to quarterfinals, but even the semifinals in a way. And then SMU, if you win this game, you have the NIL, you have the funding. That is not an issue here. You could take this win because you didn't win the ACC championship, and you could show that to potential recruits. You could show that to transfer portal students and be like, look what we can give you. Not only can we give you money, we can be competitive in these big games.
Yeah.
So I think it would be a big statement for either team. I kind of think SMU needs it a little bit more just to justify them being in the playoffs. And I think if they get blown out in this game, a lot of people will be like, see, which is not a good thing in any way. But I think a lot of people would talk. And same with Penn State. If they lose this game, it's like, so you can't win in these big moments. It would be detrimental to the head coach. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I think they both have something to fight for here.
Yeah. I mean, Franklin is 1-5 against top five teams. With his time with the Lions. So, I mean, winning this game would go a long way for him. I mean, back in November, the fans were yelling at him against Ohio State. Like, it was awful. Your own fans, booing you during the loss. So, this would do so much for this coach, obviously, both programs. But, SMU has yet to face someone of this kind of power.
Yeah.
So, I think, Penn State obviously has the ledge there. But Penn State can't be slow and steady. I mean, they have to be aggressive, like you were talking about. And, the weather conditions are going to be perfect. I think they're calling for snow.
Yeah.
That'll be cool. That'll be crazy. I know people were saying in the comments that weather doesn't matter. Oh, it absolutely does. That plays a major factor when you're not used to playing in the snow.
Did they ever watch a Bills game?
Exactly. Like, okay. But
So
anyways, this is gonna be a great game. I am super excited. I've really thought about who I wanted to choose in this because I'm all for an underdog team. Like, I love to see an underdog rise to the challenge, but I think I'm gonna go with Penn State here. They're gonna take the edge, I think. I feel like that place is a really scary place to play on the road. That's, like we talked about, that's one of the bucket list games for me for sure. So I think with this crowd and just the leverage of just a little bit more power that they have, and I think they take it. But I want to see SMU do well. I mean, I enjoyed really watching their offense. They're a great team, great quarterback. So I'm excited to see what they do too. So, and especially in this kind of moment. I mean, I definitely think the sting from the Clemson loss will probably still be there, and that might help leverage them as well. But we saw what they did in the second half against Clemson too. So don't count them out until the very end, I would say, because they got a lot of juice on that offense. So it'll be interesting.
yeah, and I think if SMU can even keep it competitive, if they do drop the game, if they can keep it competitive, then I think that's enough
Yeah.
to prove why they belong. But I think if you're losing by 2-3 touchdowns, then it's just like, I think you're
Yeah.
gonna get a little bit of heat. I'll be a little heated. But all that to say, I am also picking Penn State. I just think there is too much of a talent gap at this moment in time. But SMU's done a lot of great things this season. Just the no ranked wins for me, and then losing the ACC championship. I cannot unsee that first half of the game. I understand they came back, but I think a lot of that too was on Clemson.
They were
Kind
tired.
of making mistakes. They were tired. They were just not playing to their complete ability in that second half. So I will be picking Penn State. I do think they'll win by a couple touchdowns as well. But we'll see. I've been wrong a lot of times this season. And I will own it every single time.
Yeah,
And please call me out if you think I'm wrong. I love it. Engage, engage, engage. So like, comment, subscribe. Who do you think's gonna win this game? This is our first game on Saturday. I'm loving this new more football. I'm pretty pissed at the NFL for scheduling NFL games at the same time as the games in the playoffs. I'm like, give us a Saturday.
right.
Jeez.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you next time.